In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to get two objects like this moving into frame and then bouncing back out. This is perfect for any of you who are creating brand videos for a product-based business. First things first is we're tapping on our objects and we have them in frame already. We're going to shoot this backwards and we're going to lock the exposure, white balance, and focus so that none of this changes throughout. It's very important that you do this, otherwise as you move the objects in and out, the camera will re-expose and make your clips brighter or darker between each shot, and we don't want that because when you play it back quickly, it'll have a flickery look to it, and we don't want that. I also enabled our interval timer. The first one here will determine how many seconds between each shot there is. I'm going to go for 6 seconds between each shot. And then it's important that you also enable that second clock so that there's not an arrow through it, because if you don't have this enabled, it will just take one photo 6 seconds from now instead of a photo every 6 seconds, which is what we want because we want to focus on animating our products and not having to go back to the camera, possibly moving it, because we want the camera to be still. Mine is on a tripod. If you don't have a tripod, just place your camera inside a mug or a cup or leaning against an object so that it's not moving throughout. And lastly is we're enabling our Instagram vertical guideline. This is so that we know that when we post this to an Instagram as a vertical video, nothing is getting cut out here and we can frame it appropriately while we're shooting. So we're going to take the first photo here. We're shooting this video backwards because I have a very specific way on how I want it to be styled. It'll be hard for me to animate and go into that styled look versus it already being done and just having the objects move away from each other. So I styled it and now we're just taking a photo and slowly moving each object away from the center of the video. We're going to keep doing this until the products are completely out of shot. Be aware of any shadows that still might be casted into the frame even when the objects are out. As you can see here on the right hand side with the darker glass, there is a bit of a shadow there. So I'm just making sure that I keep moving it till that shadow is completely out of frame. We are going to open up our player here and see how this looks. First things first is we want to speed it up so that it looks like a real video and not a jolty slideshow. I'm also going to enable the boomerang so that it goes out and then back in. I'm also clicking the reverse button, and if it isn't obvious, this reverses the whole project. This will allow us to have the screen be empty at first and then have the objects moved in instead of having the objects there at the beginning. By the time that you are watching this, we may have a new feature enabled which allows you to freeze a frame. So when the objects move in, we want it to hold there for a minute before it moves back out. And to do this right now in the video, we are going to duplicate the last image, which was the first image we shot, but since we reversed it, it's now last, and we're going to duplicate that a bunch of times. If you are on the new version of LifeLapse, you don't have to duplicate a million times. You can simply click on that clip in the project, and the option to freeze or hold will show up, and you can do it that way. I also created a bit of a hold effect at the beginning so that there was a bit of a pause before the objects came into camera. I just need to reorder these. Okay, I'm really happy with how this animation is. I like the speed and the pauses. Now we're going to get into some fun editing tools like adding music, changing the brightness. If you want to reposition the crop of your video, you can go into the tilt feature. I'm sorry it's not very obvious, but if you click on that, you can drag and reposition the crop if it's not where you want it to be. Thank you so much for watching this video. We would love to see what you create. If you're sharing on Instagram, please tag us at @lifelapse_app, or you can hashtag lifelapse.